Okay, guys, we're going to see how much we can get done before the battery dies. So why do conflicts arise among ethnicities? Ethnicities and nationality. So a nationality is the identity with a group of people who share legal attachment and personal allegiance to a particular country. A nationality shares similar concepts with ethnicity. Both of these are defined through shared cultural values derived from religion, language, and material culture. Nationality differs with ethnicity, however, in terms of legal standing. Nationality is defined through shared experiences derived from voting, obtaining a passport, and performing civic duties. So, nationalities in North America, distinguishing between nationality, ethnicity, and race in the United States. Nationality identifies citizens of the United States. Ethnicity identifies groups with distinct ancestry and cultural traditions. For example, in the United States, we have African Americans and Hispanic Americans. Race, on the other hand, distinguishes blacks and other persons of color from whites. Ethnic competition. So there's ethnic competition in Lebanon. Nearly all Lebanese Christians consider themselves ethnically descended from the ancient Phoenicians. Lebanese Muslims consider themselves Arabs. Diversity in Lebanon is at the surface appears to be more religious than it does ethnic. So whereas those people would be the same nationality, definitely, and then the same ethnicity, they're going to be more diverse because of their religious beliefs. Okay, so if you look at Lebanon, you can see where Christians live, where the yellow areas are, where the Sunni Muslims live, where it's kind of a mint green, where the Shiite Muslims live, which is purple, and then where the Druze live, which is kind of a very light maroon color. So ethnic diversity in Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka is inhabited by three principal ethnicities. The Sinhalese are 74%, and they migrated from northern India in the 5th century BC and converted to Buddhism. Then we have the Tamils, which are 16%, and they migrated from India in the 3rd century BC, and they practice Hinduism. And then we have the Moors, which make up 10%, and they are ethnic Arabs, and they migrated from Southwest Asia. I'm not gonna fall asleep. They migrated from Southwest Asia in 8th century AD, and they practice Islam. So few ethnicities inhabit an area that matches the territory of a nationality. Dividing South Asian ethnicities among nationalities, Britain's end of colonial rule of the Indian subcontinent in 1947 gave birth to two new countries, India and Pakistan. So if you've never seen the movie Gandhi, you should definitely do it. We should do another movie night of that, except Gandhi is like 5 hours long, so we'd have to commit to like 2 or 3 days. We can't do it all in one night. That's just ludicrous. It's crazy talk. But it's a great movie, and I've tried to like just show clips of it to classes. I can't do it because it's all so good. So what happens is that when Britain agrees to leave, they're like, we'll leave, but you really need to know that India, there's not just one India. There's Hindu India and there's Muslim India. And they kind of convince the people, that if the Hindus are in charge, that the Muslims won't have any power, and if the Muslims are in charge, the Hindus will rise up and revolt. And so what ends up happening is that India is split into two, by the Radcliffe Line, into India and Pakistan. And at that point, you have East and West Pakistan. So East Pakistan ends up becoming Bangladesh later in 1971. But when that Radcliffe Line is drawn, it sends all the Muslims to Pakistan and all the Hindus to India. And even though when those territories are first created, they do that with the feeling that the majority of people are already in those areas. They're not all in those areas, and so lots and lots of people have to move, and that creates this huge, almost civil war within India. It's a huge mess. Okay. So the reason for separating West and East Pakistan from India is differences in ethnicity and religious differences. So you can see here where Pakistan is the yellow, Bangladesh, which used to be East Pakistan, and then India is the green. Oh, we should remind me to show you guys the Coke video about India and Pakistan. It's really good. Okay, so you can see where Muslims, the blue is Muslims, so Muslims are moving to Pakistan. The Hindus are red, so where the Hindus are moving. And then the Radcliffe line is where it's divided. Okay, and then Kurds, dividing Kurds from other nationalities. So the Kurds are Sunni Muslims, and they speak a language in the Iranian group of the Indo-Iranian branch of the Indo-European. So if you look on the tree in the back of my room, you can find that. They feature distinctive literature, dress, and cultural traditions. And after World War I, the European allies demarcated land for the Kurds, and they called this land Kurdistan. But in 1923, the Treaty of Lausanne established what would have been Kurdistan as part of Turkey. Today, Kurds are divided among several countries: eastern Turkey, northern Iraq, western Iran, and Syria. And the Kurds were, okay, hold on. Okay, so in Iraq, 3/4 of Iraqis are Arabs. 2/3 of those are Shiite Muslims, and 1/3 are Sunni Muslims, and 1/6 of the Iraqis are Kurds. And most Iraqis have a stronger loyalty to a tribe or to a clan than to a nationality or a major ethnicity. And I want to point out, because it doesn't look like they're going to here, that when Saddam Hussein was in power in Iraq, he tortured the Kurds, essentially using what is it called? Biological warfare against the Kurds, and poisoned them. I mean, it was horrible, the things that he did to the Kurdish people. So they live in northern Iraq. And I think a lot of the Kurdish people may be Bedouin, which means that they are nomadic. So in Iran, can you hear my cats fighting? Charming. So the most numerous ethnicity is Persian, and they adhere to Shiite Islam. And then in Afghanistan, the most numerous ethnicities include Pashtun, Tajik, and Hazara. So there's a faction of Pashtun called the Taliban, meaning religious students, and they gained control over most of the country in 1995 and proceeded to rule with policies based on Islamic fundamentalism. We've talked a lot already about the Taliban.